Coach Jabrissa, thank you for being a subscriber. If you want to support my work, buy me a coffee/We've Read, trying to raise up $150, hopefully today, or at least throughout the week in total. I got a bill that I got to pay. I know that the Lord will provide one way or another. I thank everyone who's donated. All glory to God. Thank you for supporting my work. But if necessary, if people can even donate, $5, every little bit helps. If you want something, instead of donating, you can go to fixyourgut.com. You can use the coupon code WEAVES _red, so we space red. I'll give you half off of anything. My books, Fix Your Gut, Fix Your Mitochondria, my coaching, my email coaching, if you just want emails. You can go look at my Podia store for that. So if you want something for a donation where I can help you in return, then you also have that way of donating as well, too, in a way. Okay, because it could be a donation, and you can either get my books, which will hopefully help you, Lord willing. We know that Jesus Christ is the master physician, especially for the soul. Only for the soul. Coaching as well, too. You can get a discount on that. Audio is off. Does it sound better now? Is it still clipping, you guys? Does it sound like it's still Wow, it sounds like it's extremely high up. What is going on here? All right, hold on. How do I sound now? Does it still sound like it's clipping? Does it still sound distorted? Everybody in the chat, let me know. Testing. Hopefully it's better now. Okay, do I sound loud enough, Carson? Do I sound loud enough, chat? Can you hear me loud enough? Gain. Okay, so I sound low. All right, what about now? Does it sound better? Okay. All right, good. All right, thank you, HP Lovecraft. All right, so also, if you want to subscribe to my work, that's a way to help as well, too. Search We Read the Documents on Odyssey, Substack, Patreon, Rumble, and YouTube. The only way you can really subscribe to get my videos now, since Odyssey switched over to cryptocurrency and no longer uses Stripe, is literally just Patreon or Substack. Substack, you're able to subscribe for a year of my content for $50 or $5 a month, $5 a month on Patreon as well. So subscribing for the year obviously gives you the greatest discount. And I want to, thank everyone who supported my work and subscribed to me over the years. I'm doing more subscriber-only streams, though a lot of my content will still be for free. The subscriber-only streams will be extras, me going over the news on Fridays, for example. And later I'm going to do a stream with John Klizek again from School World Order. Too high, okay. What about now? Is it still too high? I might just restart the stream. I'll use this as a test stream. Is it still too high, you guys? Is it still registering too high? Revert the gain increase back, text says, okay. How is it now? Is it better? Is the gain less high? Do I sound less hot? Okay, all right, that's good. Okay, all right. I'm just going to restart the stream real quick, you guys. I'll keep it up. It's okay to be messy. There's just a little bit of INTP perfectionism going in there. My fellow brother Christ and I, Jeremy Stone, have a Christian podcast, By Their Fruits. Hopefully we're both going to have more time to record as well, too. And so hopefully we'll be able to do more shows together. Pray for Jeremy and his family. They've been going through a lot lately. I've been going through a lot for many years, as we all have, to some degree. So let's continue our 2025 Externalization of the Hierarchy. Epstein Disclosure to the Masses begins, Part 8. We had a lot of things to uncover when I had to go visit my in-laws this past week, which is why there wasn't any really new streams on YouTube, but there was new streams for people who have subscribed. There's family issues, some health issues and stuff like that on my in-laws side that have been happening for a long time, so it was definitely good to go see them. Pray for them as well, too. And so just trying to get back to everything. My last stream that I did on the continuation of Operation Tiberius Kirk is a very, very important stream. Very important stream. Couldn't keep it up here on YouTube. Could not keep that one up here on YouTube, even if I wanted to. Could not. So, it will eventually be made free on Odyssey within a week for those who missed it when I streamed it live here on YouTube. But definitely something that's very important for just to see the continuation of Operation Tiberius Kirk. So let's continue. Leaked FBI documents reveals Jeffrey Epstein's secret history as an FBI informant. FBI informant, Mossad informant, blackmail compromat for the elite producer. Jeffrey Epstein was secretly working with the U.S. government according to bombshell document obtained by RadarOnline.com. Late tycoon and pedophile who died in jail in 2019, age 66, while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges, was more than just protected. He was a puppet, informant, and spy for the FBI, added an intelligence agency source. A 2008 internal file obtained from the successful Freedom of Information Act lawsuit shows Epstein was operating as an FBI informant before his now infamous 2007 sweetheart plea deal. Epstein has also provided information to the FBI as agreed upon. A special agent whose name was redacted wrote on the internal cable dated September 9, 2008 marked routine. It added a case agent advised that no federal prosecution will occur in this matter as long as Epstein continues to uphold his agreement with the state of Florida. Okay. The deal, that bargain struck with the Department of Justice where Epstein was facing potential federal charges for trafficking minors across state lines allowed him to plead guilty to reduced state-level charges in Florida, serving just 13 months in jail, much of it under work release. The agreement was infamous not only for its leniency, but also for granting immunity to Epstein's alleged co-conspirators if were being conducted before all his victims had been interviewed on his electronic seized by the authorities. At the heart of the deal was Council for National Policy member Alex Acosta. Alex Acosta, actually, I found, gave a briefing on sex trafficking in the early 2000s to the Council for National Policy, interestingly enough. The United States Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, Acosta, now 56, would later resign as Donald Trump's labor secretary after scrutiny of his role in the Epstein case intensified. Interesting, he was made Secretary of Labor. All right? Acosta claimed he had been told to back off Epstein. He said, "I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone." The uncovered FBI document suggests his claims may have been a tip of the iceberg when it came to Epstein's involvement with the feds. Okay, so if we're reading here, it's kind of redacted from September the 18th, 2008. On 9/11, 2008, case agent advised Ryder that Epstein is currently being prosecuted by the state of Florida and is complying with all conditions of his plea with the state of Florida. Epstein has also provided information to the FBI as agreed upon. Case agent advised that no federal prosecution will occur in this matter as long as Epstein continues to uphold his agreement with the state of Florida. Case agent also advised that no further forfeiture assistance will be required for this case. Case agent is requested to contact Ryder in the event this matter moves forward on a federal level. In that no further forfeiture-related action is deemed necessary in this matter, it is requested that the subfile FF be closed. Up here it has General for Forfeiture Matters, Jeffrey Epstein, WSTA, Child Prostitution, okay, Miami Bureau of the FBI. All right, so a source close to the case told this masthead there are smoking gun documents that show Epstein was an active source for the FBI way before his plea deal in 2007. Of course he was, right? Just like Peter Thiel is an FBI informant. A look inside Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan lair. In his 7-story townhouse, a sex offender hosted the elite, displayed photos with presidents, and showcased a first edition of Lolita, according to previous unreported photos and letters. As a gift to Jeffrey Epstein's 63rd birthday, friends sent letters in tribute to the wealthy financier and convicted sex offender. Several shared a common theme, recounting the dinner gatherings that Mr. Epstein regularly hosted at his palatial townhouse on Manhattan's Upper East Side. That'd be the Lex Wexner Compromat Mansion. Ehud Barak, former Prime Minister of Israel, and his wife know the great diversity of guests. There's no limit to your curiosity, they wrote in their message, which is comply with the others in January 2016. You're like a closed book to many of them, but you know everything about everyone. The media mogul Mortimer Zuckerman suggested ingredients for a meal that reflect the culture of the mansion, a simple salad and whatever else would enhance Jeffrey's sexual performance. And the director Woody Allen described how the dinners reminded him of Dracula's castle, Woody Allen being, pedophile, kind of incest person, right? where Lugosi has 3 young female vampires who service the place. Being neighbors, my wife Sun Yin, and I've been invited for dinner many times. Always accept, always interesting, wide variety of interesting people at every dinner, just about politicians, scientists, teachers, magicians, comedians, intellectuals, journalists, an etymologist, a concert pianist. Anyhow, it's always interesting, and the food is sumptuous and abundant. Lots of dishes, plenty of choices, numerous desserts, well served. I say well served. Often it's by some professional houseman, and just often by several young women reminding one of Castle Dracula, where Lugosi has 3 young female vampires who service the place. Add to this that Jeffrey lives in a vast house alone. One could picture him sleeping in damp earth. Put back to the food, dependently a fine dinner, but this was not always the case. In fact, the first time we came over is a very different story. We're invited with a list of accomplished types, men and women and journalists, and TV, even royalty. We're ushered up to the living room where everyone sat around prior to dinner being served and chatted. No drinks were served. You could get one if you asked for one. There should have been the first clue. When the meal was put out downstairs, it was meager. So meager, my wife, the one sitting next to her, keep rumbling, "Is this it? Is this all we're getting? After I leave here, I may go to a restaurant." We didn't want to say anything when we came the next time, but my wife did say in that tactful way she has, "There's going to be more food, isn't there?" Under her badgering, the situation gradually improved, and subsequent dinners offered buckets of Chinese food offered from a local restaurant and placed out a buffet where you get in line to help oneself. What if you had light amounts of food because rape and molestation were going to happen afterwards and you wouldn't want to have a full tummy, right? Might be a little bit of intuitive guessing there, but... It all seemed odd for a man of substance who entertained many illustrious guests often. Under continuing badgering by my wife, arrangements were made for food to be cooked at home and served. She had to explain an order in which things came out, not the main course and the appetizer, but the other way around. At the time, she bullied him into putting a few flowers in the middle of the table to make it look mildly warm and inviting. This took time and a number of corrections, but his meals have been tweaked in some sense of normal civil dining. The large foaming computer at his right hand does take some of the relaxing home cooking atmosphere out of it, but one cannot have everything, not at Castle Dracula. Woody Allen. But Mr. Epstein's prized property was not so gloomy Transylvanian fortress. He spent years turning the 7-story, 21,000-square-foot townhouse into a place where he could flaunt and deepen his connections to the rich and powerful, even as Hince's dark side lurked within, according to previous undisclosed photos and documents showing he lived in his latter years. Since Mr. Epstein's death in federal custody in 2019, which ruled suicide, many mysteries about his life has remained unsolved. How did he amass a 9-figure fortune? And why did so many powerful men continue to fraternize with him long after he became a registered sex offender? The White House had pledged to release details about the federal investigations into Mr. Epstein and his associates. But this summer, the Trump administration backpedaled, and ensuing right-wing outrage has threatened to splinter the Make America Great Again movement. For Mr. Epstein is a central figure in conspiracy theories, and has put Mr. Trump on the defensive like a few other issues. Seeking to quell the backlash, the Justice Department dispatched a top official to meet with Jazlyn Maxwell, Mr. Epstein's longtime associate who's serving a 20-year prison sentence for sex trafficking. On Friday, Ms. Maxwell was moved to a lower security facility, where supposedly the prisoners were not happy that a sex trafficker and a pedophile was put in a prison with them. Is she going to be, suicided as well, too? Right? Don't know yet. That fuels speculation that Mr. Trump might commute her sentence or even pardon her in return for cooperation. Well, it looks like that's what's happening. We'll get to that later. For years, Miss Maxwell was a fixture in Mr. Epstein's New York townhouse, where she had an office. But she and Mr. Epstein had split by the mid-2010s. A framed photos in the townhouse showing Mr. Epstein with Mr. Trump and then girlfriend Melania Noss was cropped to exclude Miss Maxwell. At least one other MAGA luminary also visited the townhouse. That would be one Council for National Policy member Stephen Ketamine Bannon, former advisor to Mr. Trump and an online media personality who said he videotaped hours of interviews in the mansion with Mr. Epstein in 2019. Framed photos of Mr. Bannon, including a mirror selfie snapped by Mr. Epstein, were kept in at least 2 rooms in the mansion. The townhouse was one of the 5 properties around the world he owned by Mr. Epstein. The townhouse, a stone throws from Central Park, was sold to Mr. Epstein in 1998 by Leslie H. Wexner, the billionaire owner of LBRY. Mr. Epstein renovated and redecorated the mansion in an eccentric style. Yeah, I've heard it's like $1 or $10 it was sold to. So it wasn't sold. It was just a transfer of the Compromise mansion. All right, so we have, pictures of Epstein and Maxwell with the Pope, pictures of Epstein and Maxwell with Hillary Clinton, pictures with Epstein and Maxwell and Larry Summers and Bill Clinton and Richard Branson, pictures of Epstein with, Saudi Saudi prince, Bill Gates, Donald Trump, etc., right? Very, very, very famous people, including Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Epstein as well, too, a photo of them together. So, more connections and pun connections with Epstein. So the Times reviewed 7 birthday messages given to Mr. Epstein in 2016. In addition to those were Mr. Zuckerman, Mr. Allen, Mr. Barack. Those were letters from the linguist Noam Chomsky. Yep, there's been a lot of discussions of Noam Chomsky's vast connections to Jeffrey Epstein. And his wife, Joshi Ito, an entrepreneur who years later would resign from MIT and the board of the New York Times Company because of his ties to Mr. Epstein. And Lawrence M. Cross, a prominent physicist. Martin Nowak, a Harvard biologist, contributed to a science-themed poem. Mr. Zuckerman, Mr. Allen, Mr. Ito, Dr. Nowak, and Mr. Bannon did not respond to requests for comment. Mr. Barack declined to comment. Dr. Chomsky's wife responded on his behalf and declined to comment. Dr. Cross said he didn't recall the letter, but attended several lunches with very interesting discussions with scientists, authors, and others at Mr. Epstein's house. In their typed letter, Mr. Barack and his wife, Neely Priel, hailed Mr. Epstein as a collector of people. Further exposure of the Israeli government and the corruption of the Israeli government, right? The letter concluded, may you enjoy a long and healthy life, and may all of us, your friends, enjoy your table for many years to come. It says, in office, according to photos reviewed by the Times, Mr. Epstein showcased a green first edition of Lolita, the 1955 novel in which an intellectual develops a sexual obsession with a 12-year-old girl and repeatedly rapes her. Atop a wooden sideboard were more framed photos, including one of Mr. Epstein with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. So more information will continue to come out about Jeffrey Epstein. So breaking, here's a video of Donald John Trump. Let's hear what Donald John Trump, let's see what the current president of these United States of America has to say, Chad.
My name is Juliet. I have a question. My question is, how many jets do you have and how would I apply to be a flight attendant?
I think she's hired. You're hired. Now, I had a case. It was very interesting. A beautiful girl who was 17 or 18 applied to be a waitress. She's so beautiful. She's like a world-class beauty. Like the young lady who just asked the question about the actors. She's so beautiful. And my people came, she said, but Mr. Trump, she has no experience. So I interviewed her anyway, because she was so pretty. And I said, let me ask you, do you have any experience? She goes, no, sir. I said, when can you start? You can work at my plane anytime. Yeah.
Remember Donald had a plane? Remember Epstein and Ghislaine have flown on Donald's plane? I uncovered that through the Maxim Golf article. I was the one who published that didn't previously exist on the internet. Yeah, the bare minimum of showing how degenerate Donald John Trump is. He is not a repentant man. He is not a born-again Christian at all. The bare minimum is he is an adulterer, he is a philanderer, and he's a rapist. The bare minimum is he's just an adulterer and a philanderer and full of lust. And then if you want to move on to the next, he's a rapist. You want to move on to the next, he's a molester. He's a pedophile. The bare minimum, he is no upstanding representation that should be our president. But Christians will hand wave it and make excuses for who might be the lawless one.
See, now, she worked in my plan. That's like a death wish for me, right? That's like an alcoholic. I have many friends. They're wonderful people. They're alcoholics. You put scotch in front of them. It's like, this would be my form of alcoholism. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Young women are like alcohol to you, Trump. Yeah. And Jeffrey Epstein, he liked his girls on the younger side, too, just like you. Right, Trump? How young, Trump? How young? Now, I can't get this clip to play.
I never went to the island.
You maintain you did not write a letter for Jeffrey Epstein's birthday?
I don't even know what they're talking about. Now, somebody could have written a letter and used my...
So Trump's saying you ought to be the one to tell it on the press. You ought to be talking to Bill Clinton about Jeffrey Epstein, who went to the island 28 times. I never went to his island. Maybe he did. Trump owns an island that's quite close. Could have taken a yacht over there. Didn't necessarily have to fly over there. Trump has his own plane. We really don't know if Trump's never been to the island. Does he have to? No. We know that he frequently, Jeffrey Epstein went to Mar-a-Lago. Trump frequently went to Jeffrey Epstein's Palm Beach estate. Trump has flown on the Lolita Express. Epstein has flown on his planes. Plane, should I say. Trump's been on Robert Maxwell's yacht. I wouldn't doubt that Epstein's been on Trump's yacht. Not all the debauchery obviously happened on the island. Now, to what that said, yeah, Zorro Ranch as well, Carson. Zorro Ranch. There's places in France where the trafficking happened to. It was all over the world. So let's see what Trump has to say here.
I'm glad I did, if you want to know the truth. And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island.
I never had the privilege. Now, Trump could be telling the truth in that, well, I never went. I'm glad I never went, right? Maybe. But then again, he also says, I never had the privilege. That's like wishing Jazlyn Maxwell well. I wish a pedophile well. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that I wish her death. All right, she could spend her time in prison for the rest of her entire life. Hopefully she repents and turns to Jesus Christ. I doubt it. But, I'm not wishing her well. She deserves to be punished for her crimes that she's been convicted of. So wishing her well is very similar to I never had the privilege of going to Epstein Island. What privilege? Why would any good, quote unquote, good person, normal person, why would any born again Christian, knowing what Jeffrey Epstein was about, knowing what Ghislaine Maxwell was about, knowing what Lex Wexner was about, knowing that the whole thing was a compromise, human trafficking, sex trafficking, blackmail ring, pedophilia, everything. What privilege is there to go to Epstein's Island? Trump needs to choose his words a little more carefully. Or is this the truth? Does he wish that he could have gone to the island? Maybe he didn't. He wanted to, though. This statement, you could say he wanted to go to the island just by saying, I never had the privilege.
And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island.
In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island. Really? This clip is so loaded with so many narratives that you and I probably will never know the truth of what is truth. Has Trump gone to the island? Has Trump not gone to the island? It's like until you have the documents in front of you, it's like Schrodinger's Trump's visit to Jeffrey Epstein's island. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. You don't know until you got the documents in front of you, and you and I never have the documents in front of us. Now, intuitively, darn right he did. Maybe he's telling the truth. But even if he is telling the truth, that he turned it down, it was one of the good things that he turned it down because he didn't want extra compromise on him. It's not because he didn't want to go there because, girls were raped and molested there. Well, they were raped and molested at Jeffrey Epstein's Palm Beach estate and Lex Wexner's New York mansion and Zorro Ranch and France and everywhere he was at. The Lolita Express. The privilege, chat. I'd have the privilege to go to a compromised island where some of the worst, most debaucherous acts are supposed to have occurred. I didn't have the privilege of visiting the Dallas South Fork Ranch where the same compromise was occurring during the Franklin scandal. Man, you could literally move that to any compromise scandal and say I didn't have the privilege. I didn't have the privilege to rape women. I didn't have the privilege to molest girls. That's literally what Donald Trump is saying there. And he didn't even say it in a sarcastic way. He let it flow naturally. It wasn't like, well, I didn't have the quote-unquote privilege like all these other people like Bill Clinton to visit the island. No, he was just like, I didn't have the privilege. I'd have the privilege of going to Epstein Island. Yeah. Oh, no, chat. I'm sorry for all the James Brown soul fans out there. I'm sorry, chat. I'm so very sorry, chat. We got another picture of showing how good of friends Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump are together. And man, oh man, look at him smile. Look at them smiles, chat. Look at them smiles. Go James Brown. Living in America, right? Or if you prefer the Weird Al parody, Living with a Hernia. MAGA. Oh, look. An inscription in the copy of Mr. Trump's book, Trump, The Art of the Comeback, which was probably ghostwritten like all of his books, that belonged to Mr. Epstein. October 1997, to Jeff, you are the greatest. Donald. Here's Virginia Robert Giuffre's brother Sky Roberts about Jazlyn Maxwell getting pardoned.
It would unwind everything that my sister and all the survivors fought for. It would be a disgrace of justice. It would be picking abusers over survivors again. And I truly believe that justice isn't finished here, but I certainly think this is a good start. And by not letting her out, it's the right thing to do. It would unwind.
Chat. Notice something right there? Oh, butterfly lapel? Symbolically, it looks kind of like a monarch butterfly, doesn't it, Chad? MK Ultra programming, right? Yeah. It was Virginia Roberts Giuffre's victim advocacy organization. Symbol was a butterfly, right? Butterfly, blue butterfly, right? Just saying, just saying. I'm not a big symbology guy, but when it stands out to you, it stands out to you. It would unwind everything that my sister and all the survivors fought for. It would be a disgrace of justice. It would be picking abusers over survivors again. Trump seems suspiciously open to a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. This is opinion by Renee Graham, writing for the Boston Globe. Jazlyn Maxwell is a convicted child sex trafficker. If she serves 1 minute less than her full 20-year sentence in federal prison, it will be a travesty. Very much agreed. Very much agreed. They're going to try to paint him out to be the only monster. They're going to try to paint Jeffrey Epstein out to be the only monster. And eventually they might pivot to finally exposing en masse Lex Wexner and pointing him out to be the monster with Jeffrey Epstein. But does Jazlyn Maxwell come out of this squeaky clean? She come out of this squeaky clean that she was being controlled by little Jeffrey Epstein and little Leslie Wexner. And look, I'm not excusing the crimes of Jeffrey Epstein and Leslie Wexner by any stretch of the imagination. Any stretch of the imagination. But if they're putting it in context, Jazlyn Maxwell was just a woman and she was being forced to do all these things and was being forced to be a pedophile and being forced to be a human and child trafficker and being forced to serve Jeffrey Epstein as his girlfriend, and to completely just overlook her father's connections, the Maxwell's family's connections to Mossad and Israel and compromise and science and everything. Just completely look over that, right? We're just going to completely look over it. We're just going to completely look over it. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. She's giving a pardon. She's getting a pardon. Trump's pardoning her. And why? Because she's singing like a canary in the coal mine. And what is she going to sing like a canary in a coal mine? Trump didn't do nothing wrong. I told you it might pivot to this, chat. I told you. Again, if it is Epstein's disclosure to the masses, if it's externalization of the hierarchy, if Trump is the Antichrist or likely is the Antichrist, it's going to pivot to him being squeaky clean. And we know he ain't squeaky clean. He ain't squeaky clean. We know that he is in bed with the Epstein compromise ring almost more than anybody else we can prove. I have a 150 slide PowerPoint presentation proving that. But now Ghislaine Maxwell, okay? Ghislaine Maxwell is going to come out and sing like a canary, bury everyone else, put all the blame on Epstein, maybe the blame on Lex Wexner, and say Trump didn't do nothing, chat. I never saw Trump do anything at all, chat. And so where does this pivot to even further? Man, I figured it out. I figured it out because of one Twitter mockingbird voice, and that is Diligent Denizen. Who is Diligent Denizen blaming that set up the whole Epstein ring? Who is he blaming that is trying to come against Trump from acting like he was going to out Trump to now giving Trump plausible deniability in the same way Ghislaine Maxwell is giving Trump plausible deniability and lying completely out of her mouth? Diligent Denizen is saying it's Peter Thiel. So as the continued Peter Thiel exposure occurs, the continued Peter Thiel Palantir exposure leads to the exposure of Israel, the coming rise of anti-Semitism across the world, the coming destruction eventually of the Antichrist. Through the Antichrist is ultimately God's judgment against Jerusalem, which is the harlot. That is what this all continues to converge on. And now it seems like we are moving away from the king shall do as he pleases and back to my original thesis of the 2025 externalization of the hierarchy of Epstein. The blame is being taken off Trump. The suspicion is being taken off of Trump. Trump, no matter how much he puts his foot in the mouth, all of that is going away, being buried as much as Carson said in the chat, Trump's been acting guilty as sin because Trump is guilty as sin, and the king shall do as he pleases. It doesn't matter because it's all going to be set up to take down Democrats, Hollywoods, science, academia, and yeah, a lot of them are guilty. Not everybody with Epstein was a pedophile. Not everybody with Epstein was a rapist, okay? Not all of them. But a lot. I bet a lot. And that's all going to come to the forefront. And who's going to come out looking squeaky clean? And that's one Donald John Trump. And who are they going to put the ultimate blame on? Jeffrey Epstein, possibly Lex Wexner, and most definitely Peter Thiel. Bravissimo. Bravissimo. MAGA will be behind Trump more than ever. And people, through the externalization of the hierarchy, through this, through the bad, apparently bad smearing of the media against Trump, of exposing all these things of Trump that are likely true, of him being a rapist, a pedophile, an adulterer, a flanger, all this, will now be the destruction of the Mockingbird media when a lot of them were in bed with Jeffrey Epstein. My guess is Trump's going to win his Murdoch lawsuit, or Murdoch is going to side, he's going to eventually settle out and admit that it was fraudulent. We had Vance meet with Murdoch 2 weeks before that story was planted. My guess is though I believe that letter to be real, Trump did this, or the people around Trump did this, and this is ultimately what it's leading to, which is top Trump officials will discuss Epstein's strategy at Wednesday dinner hosted by Vance. Now, the million-dollar question is whom does JD Vance serve? Does he still serve Peter Thiel, or does he serve Donald Trump? Whom does he serve? That's the key question. I don't know yet. The rest of alternative media will say JD Vance is Peter Thiel's man. He is Peter Thiel's representation, and they're going to assassinate Trump to put him in. If Trump isn't the Antichrist, then maybe in some form of capacity that happens. But if he is, that ain't happening. And if he is, my belief is JD Vance will either be hung out to dry with Peter Thiel, Palantir, and Israel, all linked and tied to the hilt to one another, or he will side with Trump and he will sing like a canary in a coal mine against Palantir, against Peter Thiel, and everything else. I don't know which one will happen, but if Trump's the Antichrist, my money is on the latter rather than the former. And that's why Vance is hosting this dinner. Peter Thiel controls Trump. If Trump is the Antichrist, the powers concentrated in Jerusalem control Trump. They're going to control whomever the Antichrist is, Trump or not. Looks like Trump. Could be wrong. Looks like him. I might be wrong. Not saying 100% here. Never have. But if this is playing out the way intuitively I think it is, and it aligns with Scripture, and Scripture is what ultimately matters here, this is why these events are unfolding. And the king shall do as he pleases to the externalization of the hierarchy was to have the maximum effect of cleaning and gussing up Trump, so Trump appears to the world clean as a whistle. That this whole network was subjugating him, blackmailing him, compromising him, but it's all fake. It's all artificial intelligence. It's all fake news. Trump never did anything wrong. He's a vile person to you and I. He's a vile person that anybody can see through the facade. He is a vile person. He might be the lawless one, okay? And those who can see through what may be the grand illusion can see Trump how he really is. But to the rest of the world, through the externalization of the hierarchy, through the plan, through the greatest show, Trump will look like he is shining just like Lucifer looks like a false angel of light. And you're seeing it right now. You're seeing it right now. So again, if this continues to go in the direction that it's going, if this continues to go with the externalization of the hierarchy, it looks like that's what's happening. It looks like we're getting both. Trump, if he is Antichrist, the king shall do as he pleases. Trump can do whatever he wants to do, say whatever he wants to say, whatever. But it ultimately does not penalize him in the eyes of the world. Most of the world doesn't like the Antichrist. The Bible says the Antichrist is a vile man. Trump's a vile man. But it's not until the mortal head wound, it's not until the resurrection by the false prophet does the world marvel after the Antichrist. Be aware of that. So this is getting interesting, you guys. If you asked me a couple of weeks ago, where is this going? I would say the king is going to do as he pleases, and Trump's just going to be vile, as completely vile as vile can be, and that's just how it's going to be. But now it looks like they're pivoting through these three things right here. They're pivoting to externalization of the hierarchy, and it's coming quicker rather than later. Does Ghislaine die? Does she exit stage right and die? Does she testify that Trump didn't do nothing? Where are we going with this, chat? It still ain't completed yet, and I ain't saying I got it completely right either. Top Trump administration officials would gather the vice president's residence Wednesday evening as they continue to weigh whether to publish an audio recording and transcript of Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's recent conversation with Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Jazlyn Maxwell. The administration's handling of the Epstein case, as well as the need to craft a unified response, is expected to maintain a focus at dinner. Three sources familiar with the meeting and told CNN. The meeting will include White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. Look at that. Vice President JD Vance. Scientologist Pam Bondi. QAnon himself, Kash Patel. What's up with this? What's happening here? And Attorney General Todd Blanche. If you ask me, chat, I think the fix is in. I think the fix is in, chat. I think it's finally coming to a head. And I think the externalization of the hierarchy is finally happening. And it'll happen within the next year. Prepare yourselves for Trump to come out of this squeaky clean and for all blame to be put on Palantir, Peter Thiel, Israel, Epstein, and Lex Wexner. You'll have other people be blamed as being partakers, like the Clintons, who may even be bumped up to they did it status. A lot of Hollywood, a lot of scientific elites, etc. But you know who might come out of this? And everything will be blamed on all those people except for this person? Jazlyn Maxwell. Jazlyn Maxwell. We'll see. We'll see. Take care. God bless everyone. If you could donate, please do. Trying to get up $150, hopefully today. If not, by the weekend. Got a bill to pay. Every little bit helps. You could donate at buy me a coffee /We've Read. All donations are appreciated. Don't send me your last dollar if that's all you have. Please don't. I can work. I'm going to DoorDash some today. The weather's going to be kind of bad, though. God bless each and every one of you. I love you guys. I pray for you guys. Pray for me. Pray for my family. I pray for my audience. I love you. God bless you. Got a show with John Kleizak at 1. It's going to be good. It's going to be catch up with the author of School Word Order. I love John. He's a dear friend, fellow brother in Christ. Excellent researcher. I've worked with John many years, especially on the Finder stuff. God bless each and every one of you.